So if everyone's ready, let's move on. So the next half of the process is the end of year certification. So we don't need to discuss the data population, how to upload files to CalPads, because there are videos out there that would show you how to do that. There's steps in the user manual that would also show you how to do that. So let's just assume all of your data are in CalPads and you believe you're ready to you know move on to the next step of the process, which is the certification. So the certification process um, allows you to is the next step, which then allows you to see if there are any certification errors and also review reports that would then allow you to certify, of course. So for certification, normally for LAs, you would go to certification status, and it should bring you to this section of CalPads. Okay, so if you click here, certification status, it brings you here to CalPads. And if you've already previously posted records for a specific submission, like end of year 3, then of course you will get a new snapshot and you will be able to see um, the different submissions for end of year. So let's look at end of year 3. I just right click on that section, but here you go. So this is the certification details section of CalPAS. It, at least for end of year 3, it gives you, before we discuss error resolution and stuff, let me just discuss to you the different sections of this page. So you have here your main summary section at the top, which provides you the current revision status that you're looking at and the associated errors based on that revision status. So right now, my revision status is in review uncertified. So Nate froze this version of the revised uncertified yesterday and then uploaded new data to CalPads. So, and now I want to see that new version of that data. So to do that, if you made corrections and you want to see if those corrections reflected on a new snapshot, to do that, you just switch your revision status. So switch here, just choose revised uncertified. So currently you have 242 errors and warnings. And so if you switch that, we will then see some changes. But before we do that, let's see the different sections here. So you have your required SELPA approval. This then lists the appropriate SELPA who would do the second approval for end of year 3. As we mentioned, end of year 3 involves incidents involving students with disabilities, and as such, we require a second approval from SELPAs. And so this is where you will be able to see the status and what SELPA is approving your data. And then you have here your certification section, which lists the different errors that you have and different warnings if you do have some. And then at the bottom is your certification reports. This is the different reports. On the left are the minimum number of reports you need to review before CalPAS allows you to certify or click on the approval button. So assuming you have no certification errors, you have zero cert errors, fatal cert errors, and you review all of these reports, you have green check marks here, a box will appear here that you need to check, and that would then activate the LA approval section on this side of CalPads. And then below here is the snapshot history. In previous years, the snapshot history isn't that a big deal because it just lists the different snapshots you get from CalPads. However, in terms of when you're communicating and working with SELPAs now, you have to be aware of the different snapshot histories. That way, if you, let's say, make changes to CalPads and you want your SELPA to review that change without decertifying or without disapproving, let's say if you're on LA approved or if you're on SELPA approved and you made changes, you don't have to disapprove. You just show them a version of the revised uncertified report a key element here now is the revision ID. So if you tell them, okay, I made revisions this year, this time around, and can you please check the revised and certified version that has this revision ID? So this confirms that you're both looking at the same version of the report. So make sure when you communicate with your CELPAs for any changes later on, make sure to include the revision ID. Okay?
And if I could add, Kyron,
Yes.
you know, towards the end of any submission window to do our outreach, we really want to catch the LEAs that are behind or those that may need assistance that haven't yet reached out. And because we have so many, we generally get a list and then we go through the list. And I don't know how every CSIS monitor works, but I use the snapshot history to see if I can see meaningful effort towards certification. Last column, it says total errors. As you can see, that as the different revisions process, I see that there's not significant difference. And then about in the fifth revision, it goes from 258 to 242, then 182. And so, this is an indication for us that you're making an effort, because many of you don't like to reply to our emails. So personally, we use the snapshot history to try to measure some of the effort being made on behalf of your LEA. I personally, if I say it doesn't appear like you're doing anything, I'm not trying to be offensive, although you may be offended. I'm just saying I'm looking at the errors and they've been consistent. And so this is a tool that I personally use to try to gauge how much success you're having. Also, it gives me an indication if you need help, because if errors are not being resolved after several submissions, I may reach out. But the best thing for you to do is to be proactive. If you are having trouble resolving any error, we can probably share our knowledge, shortcut the process a little bit. So, I just wanted to mention that, that's how we use the snapshot history.
Yep. Thank you, Nate. And going back to the top, so Nate made corrections. So I'm assuming Nate is my LA, and I see, okay, Nate made corrections here. So you have 116 errors. So I scroll up and I say, okay, it says 116. How come I'm still seeing 242? That's because you have your status on in review uncertified. So if we switch this to revised uncertified, and without clicking anything else, just waiting, because you know how CalPAS takes its time, you know, CalPAS takes its time and enjoying, the sunshine outside,
And it's
cue
going to continue to take its
elevator
time,
music.
and it might take its time out. That's what the worry is.
There you
Okay.
go. No, we have feed on in CalPAS, Nate. So as you can see, the revised uncertified version now has only a total of 116 errors, which matches the most recent snapshot listed on the history. So this is the current snapshot that you need to work on. Okay. And so I still have 116 errors. So you can either run view certification error report if you want to involve other coworkers in error resolution, or if you're the one doing CalPads and um, you normally work on this using the UI, you can just scroll down and look at your certification fatal summary. So for those new to CalPads, there are two different errors. We have our IVR, which is your submission errors. These are the errors you encounter during upload that you need to address and correct. Now, once the data is in CalPads, another set of validations is conducted based on a different set of reporting rules. And so this involves other records that is associated to the record being uh, the incident record, or an enrollment record. So based on that, CalPAS will trigger different certification errors, as it is called. So I'll just demo how to resolve one error here just to show you, um, the process, how we normally troubleshoot an error and help out LEAs. But let me just, before I do that, let me just, just point out some errors that you should be aware of, like this good one here, Cert 1, enrollment data missing for expected open school. So if if you haven't noticed yet, there are two links here. You have a show. This will show you the offending records that you need to resolve. Well, this cert button here will bring you to the CalPAS user manual, which provides you a similar version of the CalPAS error list. If you don't want to download the CalPAS error list, or if you want to have, if you don't want to use the CalPAS error list, you could always just click on this error message. It brings you to the CalPAS user manual with the suggested resolution. So all of this here at the top is taken from the error list. This one is based on the current known issues. So if you click on that, it would benefit you to see if there are any active defects. That way you don't have to, send a service ticket to CalPads. Or if you do want it, at least you want clarification if this defect impacts the error that you have. Okay, you can send a ticket for help. And then below that, we trainers add additional information that we feel fit that might benefit you in troubleshooting. So for Cert 1, here are some scenarios that you might be in, and the different resolution that you could follow. So for Cert 1, meaning you have a school that is that does not have any enrollment in CalPads for this reporting period. So if the school is active, and you have students enrolled and you just forgot to submit data to CalPAS, then by all means submit the SCNR records of those students. That's scenario one. Now, if you have an active school but there are no enrollments in CalPAS throughout the year, or at least maybe in end of year, maybe you close down mid-year and there are no enrollments for end of year, then you need to request sending a service ticket to CalPads and tell us that there are no enrollments for this school that would apply for this year. Then we could take that school out from the expected schools table, and that would essentially clear your Cert 1. But if this is your scenario, it is important to act on this as soon as possible, because taking the school out from the expected schools table takes a bit of time and process. So if this is your scenario, submit a service ticket as soon as possible. Now for scenario 3, close school. If the school permanently shut down, LAs will need to notify CD about it. So to notify, we have here, you have to send in a ticket to Opus to request an update of your school profile. So 2 and 3 takes more time. And so if you are in these last two scenarios, please do the work as soon as possible. Okay, so that's just Cert 1, but let me just go back to another error here. So Nate was calling out Marshall about Cert 128. Cert 128, ha! Cert 128 is just stating that each student who has an SENR record with an enrollment status of primary or short-term in CalPads must have a STAS record reported in the current academic year. So meaning you're missing your STAS record for an enrolled student in CalPads. So with that, as I mentioned, it benefits to just click on this, because we as trainers would embed videos that we've recorded. Nate recorded this, and so his hard work, well,
Well,
is
actually, you said I was calling out Marshall. I was throwing no look passes.
oh, okay.
Kyron, Kyron really manages the user manual, and no one can really take credit. We've made minor contributions, but it's probably the best resource we have for CalPads, and Kyron's taken it upon himself to do 99% of it. And I like to recognize Marshall because he does all the videos, he does the
Yeah.
YouTube, and so this recording here is Marshall's effort in
Yep.
making it available. And we'd like to hope that since we can't provide one-on-one training all the time, these videos can be a great resource, and you can use them as you want. You can watch them 2 times speed because I talk slow and deliberate. And so if you need a quick update, Marshall puts a table of contents so you can skip to the
Yeah.
elements you want. So if you don't need to know how to break down an error to troubleshoot it using the error documents, you can skip to the demonstration.
Yep.
Their hard work is for your benefit.
Okay, so let's deal with this one error, Cert 128. So let's click on show to see the offending records. Cert 128, show, okay. Oh, CalPads is running. I thought I didn't click on the show button. So again, as I've mentioned, um, once you've posted your files in CalPads, that doesn't mean you're done for the day. You have to see if you have any errors. So let's look at this one error here. So again, you have the SSID, and if you click on this, this leads you to the offending record here. So we have here Almond Bittersweet. So the student was enrolled this year from 9/1/2020 to 5/28/2021. And so based on the Cert 128 definition here, so you have an enrolled student, which is right, but you're missing the status. So to confirm, just scroll down to the student details of that student and look for student absence summary. So here, it appears that the student has a 2021 record, but then we're getting a Cert 128. So I don't want to scroll up because I think, ah, okay, okay, okay. So, so if you look at this record, if you scroll down, it appears there's a status record for the student in CalPads, right? So you would wonder, and then look at the record, most current one, you see that the student was at Castleman High, graduated, and has a status. So you'd wonder, okay, so why is this triggering an error? So you go back to the certification details and look at the detail closely. So part of that is the LEA, which is us, Training Berkeley, and then the school. So it appears the error triggered at CC's Training Berkeley High. So if I go back to student details, and I do see that there are no records at CC's Training Berkeley High. And then if you want to confirm if there was indeed an enrollment, I see that there was. So there's a 820 to 831, and then the student moved to Castle One. So right here, you are missing a status record for the student at Berkeley High. Why does this require a status record? What are the normal conditions or elements that require a status? If you guys can, give your input, just so just an exercise here. So why is this even requiring a status this year? Okay, any primary enrollment needs a status, and okay. So the second one is that look at the reporting period compared to the enrollment period. So this covers this year's reporting period. So you are still required to submit a status for any enrollment within the current academic year, with an enrollment type of 10 or 30. So, okay, thank you. You guys got it, and Josh laid out all the conditions. Any day of primary enrollment within the academic year. That's right. So that's the reason why we get a Cert 128. So that's how to resolve a certification error. Another one, maybe, do we benefit? eh, Do we need to do one more here, Nate? Let's see. 128.
No,
No, nope.
we're at 11,
Oh,
11.
11. Okay. Okay. That's fine then. So that's just one process. It would benefit for you guys to click on this error, brings up the error list, error definition. If you have a video, then you're good to go. If not, then at least look at the fields validated, look at the suggested resolution, and if the fields validated require, you checking on the different fields, then another um, document you could look at is the CalPADS file specifications form, which is the document that provides the different requirements for each field. Okay, so okay, let me pass it back to Nate for the rest of the session here.
Just a moment, Karen.
So once you've resolved the errors, now it's the next process is the review of the reports, which Nate will discuss.